Thank you, Mr. Bell. And you remain up.
Your Honor, on an unrelated matter, Deputy Sheriff made us aware of an issue relating to one of the spectators in the back. I think this matter, we instructed him to bring it to your bailiff's attention, and we would like some action taken on what the deputy heard relative to this individual being permitted to be in the courtroom and also in the building given the nature of his remarks.
Do you know which deputy?
We didn't say anything to, we had the deputy convey the information to the,
Okay, we don't know what's about.
we were part of it.
We'll go off the record for one moment.
You know,
Yeah, that's when we come in. So we'll go back on the record for a moment. So I just inquired of the bailiff, Ms. Amos, whether she was told something about a deputy. She said that the security guard did mention something to her. His name is Abe. I don't know his last name, but I think the best thing to do is to take evidence, which is to let me hear from him what he says he heard and from whom, instead of getting his version through you. So let me talk to him on the record, and we'll sort of go from there. I'll see what he has to say, and we'll kind of figure out what to do. But the point is, based on what you heard, Mr. D'Angelo, you think that the person making the utterance should likely be removed from not only the courtroom but the courthouse?
Yes, Your Honor. So it's clear, Your Honor, I didn't hear anything.
Right.
We were just walking outside for the break, and the deputy alerted us to it. That's when we instructed the deputy to alert the bailiff.
Right.
we agree with the court's proposed action plan. You know.
Yeah, I don't want to jump to conclusions. Of course, on the other hand, I don't want to ignore it. It could be serious.
Sure. Did you get the deputy? You know,
Abe, good afternoon. I'm sorry, I forget your last name.
I'm at H-A-M-I for D-H.
Okay. I think we should take evidence from you, so if you kindly raise your right hand. Solemnly swear you testify to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Right. When I came into court just now, Mr. D'Angelo informed me that you informed him that you heard something in the lobby or the hallway that concerned you. First of all, is it more or less accurate?
Absolutely, yes.
What did you hear and from whom?
There was a threat being made that if Officer Brelo was not convicted, that he would kill him.
This person said he would kill Officer Brelo, or Mr. Brelo?
He said the officer, yes.
And you heard this person say this to who?
He was talking to a female that was with him.
Okay, and how close were you?
I was right behind him, right by the chairs there. On the desk.
Based on where you were and where these two people were, do you know whether they knew you were right there?
Yes, absolutely. Because he came and he was being irate towards me while I was sitting at a desk there.
Okay, is the
Because I lived
person
in the courtroom.
is the person in the courtroom now? Do you know?
Yes, right there with the braids and beard.
Wait, a white T-shirt.
Yes, sir.
All right. Does somebody with the affiliated with the prosecution know this person's name, this gentleman's name?
I don't know his name.
All right. Do you have any? I would call it examination. It's not cross or direct, Mr. D'Angelo.
No, Your Honor.
Any Mr. McGinty or one of your colleagues?
if he could just, if the security officer just clarify just a little bit, because I was a little bit confused. What did the gentleman with the braids and the beard say to whom?
We have
that lady here.
We have a court order that as soon as everybody goes in, as most of you know,
Sure.
we don't let anybody in. So he got irate and he's saying that he wanted to make a complaint to my supervisor. So I told him he could go downstairs and make a complaint at the desk, where the deputy desk is downstairs. So on his way out, going to the elevator, he made a comment saying that if the officer was not convicted, that he would kill himself. To the female,
officer,
not towards me.
Not about you, but
No.
the officer at trial.
The threat was not direct towards me.
What officer did you take him to meet?
He just said the officer.
Could he meant you, or could he meant Officer Brelo, or which officer?
I took it as the officer being on trial.
Were you following him down just to make sure he went to the elevator?
Yes, because he said he was going to make a complaint and he was very irate. So I was watching him going into the elevator.
Was he aware that you were behind him generally?
He's aware that I'm out here every day.
But was he aware you were calling him down as he was walking with the lady?
I wouldn't know 100%, but yes, I was right behind him.
So you don't know if he was aware of it. Who is the lady? Is she here also?
I am not sure.
What did she look like generally? What you recall?
I didn't take a good look. I just remember him. I see him every day.
Had you seen her every day, the lady?
To be honest with you,
Had she been here before, if you know?
I don't know that.
Was she about his age? Younger or older?
I don't know.
Was she
I just
taller?
remember she was a black female. That's it.
Was she heavy set like he is, or was she smaller size?
Small, probably. Don't remember exactly.
Was she engaged in any conversation? Did she
No,
react to
she
that?
did
Did
not
she
say
say,
anything.
don't do that, or whatever somebody might say during something like that?
No, I didn't hear her say anything.
Did he say anything else besides that?
No, just that he wanted to complain, about.
I mean, not to you, though, as he walked to the elevator. We know what he told you. You couldn't let him into the regulation.
Right.
He was unhappy, irate.
He didn't say it direct to me, no.
Did he say anything else to her, or she to him, between there and the elevator?
I don't recall.
Did you see him get on the elevator, go down it?
Yes,
While he was waiting for the elevator, then he would have been in a position to see you, I think?
most likely.
Did he report that that's the guy I'm talking about, in other words, being you, the officer? Okay, so you're convinced, your feeling is it was Officer Brelo you referred to?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir. We have nothing further.
Let me ask you this because I want to be sure.
Yes, Your Honor.
You overheard this, right?
Yes.
As far as you could tell, he wasn't talking to you or talking, if you know what I mean, for your benefit. Like basically to mess with you.
He was just making a comment in general.
Right. As if you are him, what were the exact words, if you recall them?
He says the officer's not convicted of the killing myself, and he was talking about something about his sister, being his sister. His sister was killed.
Okay.
Don't remember exact words, but that was what it was about.
His sister was killed by who? A police officer?
Yes.
All right.
He was saying that it was my sister, basically. That was my sister.
Well, anything else you heard that you think we should take into account when deciding how to handle this situation?
Basically, for security reasons, the officer, in my opinion, shouldn't be in any contact in the public area there.
You mean the defendant?
The defendant, yes.
Right.
Sorry.
Right. Okay. Finally, I don't know this gentleman's name. I have seen him in here, if not every day. I've certainly seen him here a lot. The woman who you're speaking to, is she another person who has attended regularly?
I don't remember that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, first of all, sir, you are going to be barred from the courtroom. I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you this is the kind of thing that's been a concern of mine from the start. So you have confirmed some of my worst fears. Second, now I'm not part of the executive branch of government, but we have deputy sheriffs here who are, and frankly the prosecutor who is. If you have an opinion on whether there's probable cause to believe that a crime of some sort has been committed, then all I could say is you should act accordingly. I'm not sure I'm empowered to
Judge, I'm gonna
ask
ask
this
the-
man who he is and advise him of his fifth, all that.
I'm going to ask.
My name is Alfredo Williams. I did not threaten
Well,
nobody.
hold on, because just hold on. Here's what I want you to know before you say anything. If what I just heard is true, it is quite possible you committed a crime, a felony even. So, you have a Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate yourself, not to speak. You have a Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. So, you are welcome, I suppose, if you want to address what was just said about you. But be advised, and I don't have any power over this. As I said, I'm not part of the executive branch of government. But be advised that it's possible you could be charged with a crime, and if so, it's possible that what you say here today can be used against you in that prosecution. So before you say anything else, I'm sorry, Mr. McGinty, either I interrupted you or Mr. Williams, that you wanted to mention what on this subject?
If he's completed, I'm going to ask the sheriff to accompany Mr. Williams to their offices and question him and review this.
All right. So we will break for a minute or two while the while law enforcement does what it thinks it needs to do under the circumstances. But Mr. Williams, I trust my security guard. There may be something he didn't hear that you added. There may be some other part of your conversation that attenuates what it is he heard, but I have to take this seriously, and so until further notice, you are excused from the courtroom. So we can go off the record for, let's go off the record until 3:15. We'll resume in 5 minutes. Thank you. Actually, let's do this on the record. Since I should note that Mr. McGinty has left, but every one of his other assistants is here. What does the prosecution think about Mr. Brelo being allowed to use the same back entrance that you do? Or do you need to think about that now that the question has been posed?
I do not think that Mr. Brelo should be using the same. You're talking about the back elevator?
Yeah.
No, I do not feel that he should be using the same back elevators. He is a defendant in this case, and I think we have to keep that in mind. You have security here, you have deputies, you have sheriff. If his safety is concerned, then you could possibly make arrangements to have him when he comes up here, but not using the same back elevators as us. There should be no special treatment to defendant Brelo in this case, simply because this case is of this nature and a high-profile case.
Don't you think that I would let any other defendant go out a different way if there was a threat that they were going to be killed? Although, having said that, if what I just heard now is true, the killing would only come after a verdict. But nevertheless, it doesn't give you some cause for concern there?
I'll speak for the state of the trial team judge. We go down those elevators all the time. You're now, with that suggestion, putting us in what we believe our peril. This is a very important case for us as well. We don't want to be in touch with a defendant who's on trial on a homicide case, nor do we want to be going down the elevator for his own purposes and be in that elevator with him. So we were not going to suggest or recommend that should be an option. There are other options that are
Well, I'll tell you this. It's the first thing that came to my mind. I think some arrangement probably has to be made now that, as I said, what I hoped wouldn't occur has happened. So we need to think about it, and we'll bring in Mr. D'Angelo and Mac and Shaughnessy on the conversation, but there should be something done within my power, which is limited, quite honestly. I'm not going to drive him home, but to ensure that at least while he's in this building, he is as safe as any other defendant should be. Let's think about that, but for now, we'll go off the record for just a minute, in fact. We won't even take a real break, but we are off the record. Should we, Ms. Royster, wait for Mr. McGinty?
No, I just